Me? For real? Oh. You can call from the Bahamas using Rev Boy's prepaid home phone service and prepaid chat cards for much less.
Hey girl, are you ready?
You get free unlimited on-island calls, voicemail, and no internet service or ID is required.
Hello?
Rev Boy's prepaid home phone service and prepaid chat cards.
Hey, vai bien.
Staying in touch never sounded so good.
2 left dead and 3 injured in 3 separate shooting incidents overnight.
Also, we sit and speak with the family to see how they're coping and see what assistance we can offer from an urban perspective.
The union representing Bahamas Electricity Corporation workers gives its take on government's plan to lower electricity costs.
What we notice in this country, though, is nothing is reducing. Cost of phone, cost of food, cost of gas, nothing is reducing. And it's going to be strange or interesting to see that the price of electricity is reduced.
And labor supports Majority Rule Day.
Majority Rule Day is a significant, very important day in history of Bahamian.
I'm Christina McNeil, and this is NB12 Weekend. Bahamas, thanks for joining us this Sunday for NB12 Weekend. Police were kept busy last night with at least 3 shooting incidents on New Providence, which ended with 2 dead and 3 others in hospital. Among the wounded was a young boy whose father was killed. Juan McCartney reports.
The first shooting occurred around 10:30 Saturday night on Abraham Street off Kemp Road. It was at that location where a 30-year-old man, since identified as Omar Davis, was killed shortly after he arrived home, according to police.
Was accosted by, we believe, at least one male who produced a weapon, discharging it at him, shooting him multiple times about the body. EMS responded here and they pronounced the male lifeless. At this stage in the investigation, it's still early. We have very little details. But we do believe that was at least one person that was involved with this latest homicide, and we do appeal to members of this community who may have some information to what happened here to give us a call, so try and help us to solve this latest homicide for us.
You have any sort of age on the victim?
31.
Could you say if he was known to police or no?
The victim, he was on bail. He was on bail. I'm not saying what it was for, but I could say that yes.
As police wheeled away Davis's body, a loved one broke down in the street. Police could hardly contain that crime scene as residents flooded Abraham Street when family members reacted, because most of the patrol cars had somewhere else urgent to be.
While police were processing the scene on Kemp Road, they were called to yet another scene here on Rossdale Street, just off Mackey Street, where a man and his young son were shot in their bed.
That man who was killed has since been identified as 54-year-old William Scott, a decades-long employee of the Department of Environmental Health. He and his son were the only people home when they were attacked, according to police.
Somehow persons entered in the home while they were in the bed asleep and armed with what we believe was a shotgun, and discharged that weapon, striking the male to the upper body, fatally wounding him. Also in the bed with him at the time was his 11-year-old son, who was also asleep and was struck multiple times. He was transported to hospital where it doesn't appear as though the home was broken into. And so it seemed, but somehow the perpetrators got into the home. We're not certain yet as to how that happened. And so we do again appeal to persons who may have information on this particular homicide to give us a call so that we can act on that.
No apparent connection between these 2 murders tonight?
No, sir. There's no no indication that there's related at all.
Scott's family was also distraught Saturday and Sunday when we visited their home. They didn't want to appear on camera, but a relative told us Scott was a family man and a provider who had no known enemies and mainly focused on helping others and his many children. We were also told that his 11-year-old son was released from the hospital and was staying with relatives. Inspector Kendall Smith of the Kemp Road Urban Renewal Center, who visited both families with a team of officers and counselors Sunday, said the healing process has only just begun.
We went door to door to see how best we can assist with the investigation, and also we sit and speak with the family to see how they're coping and see what assistance we can offer from an urban perspective. Because, in one of the homicide, we had a young child who, had that experience, who experienced that. And so we know that that child will need assistance in going through a process of grief. And so we're going to see how best we can make sure that that child is not affected by what might have been experienced there.
Smith said in his experience, murders don't only hurt families, but can harm the community as well.
We are here in an attempt to help to send some sense of calm through the community with the pastors and letting the people know that it's going to be okay. And let them know that the police is here and we will be doing something. Give us an opportunity and we will address these concerns.
Also Sunday around 2:45 a.m., two men, 23 and 24 years old, were shot at a business on Blue Hill Road South. Both men in that incident survived and were being treated at hospital at last report. Police said a Ridgeland Park man was assisting in that investigation. No one was in custody for Saturday's murders, according to police Sunday. Those killings brought the country's murder count to 51 for the year. Reporting for MB12, I'm Juan McCartney.
Meanwhile, 128 undocumented Haitian migrants are in the capital after they were apprehended west of the Exuma chain Saturday. According to a Defense Force statement, the group of migrants was on board a 35-foot sloop in the Exuma Keys when Defense Force officers intercepted them. The 97 men, 19 women, and 12 children were on the wooden vessel, were said to be in good health, and were transported to the capital for processing. According to Public Relations Officer Lieutenant Origin Delaveau, 834 Haitian migrants have been apprehended so far for 2013. The total number of illegal migrants apprehended in the Bahamas this year is 880. Well, since the Bahamas Electricity Corporation Executive Chairman Leslie Miller revealed last week that residential and commercial customers will begin to see a decrease in their electricity bills by September as a result of a tax exemption, most people we've talked to have been elated. Beginning July 1st, BC will be exempt from paying excise tax on fuel imports, a move that is projected to result in a 6.6% drop in electricity bills. Miller said the corporation is also working on other cost-saving measures that could result in a 10% drop in total. However, Bahamas Electrical Workers Union President Stefano Green says he's skeptical about the promised price drop. Green admitted he's not involved in the finer accounting procedures of BEC, but he says he does know this.
There's a lot of offset that goes on with BEC and the government. Everybody knows the government doesn't pay bills. And if the government owes BEC and the BEC owes the government, there's a write-off there. And so I don't see it as a reality of a reduction. However, I hope, for my sake, because I pay electricity bill, 100% of my electricity bill, BEC employees, BEC staff don't get any reduction, any discount on our light bills, and I hope that it does come to pass. What we notice in this country, though, is nothing is reducing. Cost of phone, cost of food, cost of gas, nothing is reducing. And it's going to be strange or interesting to see that the price of electricity is reduced.
Meantime, Green and the union have stopped negotiating a new industrial agreement with BEC because of the rostering system that the corporation implemented a few months ago. The union maintains that system is illegal.
We don't feel that we can negotiate with the chairman and the board with a gun to our head. And when you violate our contract, you put a gun to our head, and we're not going to negotiate in that form and fashion. Once the violations of our contract is stopped, then we are prepared to come back to the table and negotiate.
The union is suing BEC over that rostering system that the corporation implemented to cut back on overtime. In other news, more scattered showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast going into the night as the Bahamas continues to experience unsettled weather. According to the Department of Meteorology's public forecast, a weak trough will develop east of the Bahamas, triggering unsettled weather over the islands as residual moisture continues to loom. That rain is also expected to continue into Monday, so don't forget your umbrellas at home. The outlook for Monday is partly cloudy with a few scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Meantime, the National Emergency Management Agency today conducted assessments on Exuma, which was hard hit by flooding over the past 48 hours. Some areas had up to 6 feet of water. NEMA Director Captain Stephen Russell heads the assessment team. He was accompanied by Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis and engineers from the Ministry of Works and Urban Development and Department of Social Services. Well, good news is on the way for Mayaguana after a tragedy on that island's airport runway killed 3 people in early April. According to a statement issued by Transport and Aviation Minister Glenys Hannah Martin, temporary emergency solar lights were delivered to Mayaguana just over a week ago to facilitate emergency night flights. Permanent solar lights have been purchased by the Department of Civil Aviation to be installed on completion of that runway. Hannah Martin says she recently met with the project manager of the I Group, as well as the contractor who will be constructing the runway. Weather permitting, repairs and construction on the runway are scheduled to begin on June 11th to be completed over a 12-week period. All fixed-wing flights to Mayaguana were suspended as investigators looked into the circumstances surrounding the runway crash that left 3 dead. The mother, sister, and brother-in-law of former Cabinet Minister Sidney Colley were killed in early April when a Lee Air plane collided with their truck on the airport's runway. The truck's high beams were being used to light the runway, a practice that had become common as construction on the runway had stalled. According to Hannah Martin, she anticipates that when construction on the runway is complete, Bahamas Air will resume regularly scheduled flights to that island.